As a teacher, you have exposure to a diverse group of children and colleagues, including professional liaisons. You may have worked in partnership with a speech pathologist to work towards achieving a learning goal for a student you teach. Have you ever wondered what a speech pathologist actually does? Speech pathologists work with a wide range of people from infancy to the elderly with communication and or swallowing difficulties across a multitude of settings, including hospitals, schools, private practice, and many more. In order to provide therapy, speech pathologists often work alongside other allied health staff or groups of professionals, such as teachers. Speech pathologists aim to improve communication skills which most people take for granted, including reading, writing, speaking, listening, and nonverbal communication. Speech pathologists work in line with the competency-based occupational standards in professional practice. CBOS is a framework written by Speech Pathology Australia, which highlights the minimum skills, knowledge base and professional standards required for entry-level practice in speech pathology. Why is CBOS important? CBOS is important as it gives speech pathologists a clear outline of expectations in professional practice. It indicates areas of professional development, and it provides the public with an understanding of what is within their rights to expect. The CBOS divides a speech pathologist's range of practice into 6 main areas as follows. This can include receptive language. You may have noticed if a student has problems understanding others or content that you deliver. It also includes expressive language, which is being able to verbally express thoughts, ideas, or emotions effectively. When a person has difficulties producing speech sounds correctly or effectively, to illustrate an example of this, a child may have problems developing correct articulation of words. When people have suffered a stroke, for example, they may experience difficulty swallowing, which affects their speech and or eating or drinking ability. When a person cannot produce healthy or productive vocal sounds, you may have noticed yourself as a teacher that if you don't use the correct vocal technique, you may lose your voice. When a person is unable to be fluent in their speech production, some students you have taught may have had a stutter. When a student cannot communicate effectively through speech, there are a number of devices and methods speech pathologists use to help them to communicate more effectively at home and school. The CBOS outlines 7 units of professional activity that an entry-level speech pathologist must be able to perform for each of these areas. People who suffer with any of these impairments within this range of practice vary widely in age, race, culture, gender, socioeconomic background, and religion. Speech pathologists must be able to diagnose and treat those in need without prejudice or judgment. A very important role of speech pathologists is to follow the ethical guidelines as set out by Speech Pathology Australia's Code of Ethics. Code of Ethics ensures speech pathologists uphold the values, principles and standards of practice within the profession. In order to diagnose and treat communication and speech impairments effectively, speech pathologists are expected to use the International Classification of Functioning Disability and Health, or ICF. The ICF is a classification system which helps to define and organise information relating to an individual's health and health problems. In 2001, the World Health Organization released the ICF, which aimed to describe health in a holistic manner. The ICF is intended to be used by speech pathologists, educators, policymakers, family members, researchers, and consumers to document the characteristics of health and functioning in all people. In 2007, WHO released a version which applies specifically to children and youth. The framework provides an effective way to determine health problems whilst providing a holistic view as to what contributes to overall health. Within the ICF, function and disability allows a speech pathologist to identify whether there are any impairments in the structure of the body or if they are unable to use this into their full capacity. This section also looks at activity, which relates to the execution of a task. Lastly, participation refers to the involvement in everyday life experiences. A child may be diagnosed with autism and has difficulties participating fully in social interaction, which is known as a participation restriction. The second component within the ICF is the contextual factors, comprising of 2 influential factors, being environmental and personal. Combined, these components help to give a detailed and holistic view of a person's health and outline the contributing factors and limitations of their impairment. The speech pathologist's role is varied, however the outcome is always to advocate for a client's holistic health. Should you require any assistance in relation to speech and communication difficulties, get in touch with Speech Pathology Australia.